under that severe thunderstorm watch until 1 o'clock Central Time. And as I mentioned before, Pierre, you're not officially in it, but you're close to it. You might as well just consider yourself in that severe thunderstorm watch. So here's where the precip is going on right now. You see not too much happening over the Dakota News Now coverage area, but let's loop this now, put this into motion over the last hour or so. You can see these storms in Nebraska are making their way northward out of, up Nebraska into portions of South Dakota. And there's more moisture down to the south that's going to be making its way to the north as we go through the night. And so basically this is going to go from southwest through central into northeastern South Dakota overnight, and then eventually it'll track west to east during the day tomorrow. So we'll be seeing that on our hour-by-hour forecast. Now, the severe weather risk isn't confined to just that area where we have the severe storm watch right now. Could see something issued farther to the north and east later on tonight as well. So here is Futurecast, and by 10 o'clock the model's already bringing this activity up to close to the Pierre area. It's probably a little fast on that because this stuff is just now coming across the border, but the trend is correct for this to continue to move off to the north and east. So here's tomorrow morning at 7. Rainfall coming down central, northeastern South Dakota. The temperatures in the 60s for the most part to start the day. I think it's going to be dry in the southeast. Let's take you to noon now. We'll see some spotty showers and isolated storms developing in eastern portions of South Dakota, more precip in south central South Dakota. The main activity from the overnight moving into Minnesota, but then we'll see more developing in the afternoon across portions of central and eastern South Dakota. Temperatures only in the 60s and 70s. So in the afternoon, temperatures are not going to rise that much during the daytime hours. Here's tomorrow at 10. Still those showers and storms hanging around the east. A little bit left over tomorrow morning at 7. Most of the activity into Minnesota and portions of Iowa. Here's noon, mix of clouds and sunshine. But then by 5 o'clock, another round of showers and storms coming in from western South Dakota. Temperatures on Friday in the 60s and 70s in the afternoon. And these will track to the south and east by 10 o'clock Friday night and just kind of fizzle out and continue to move on away. I don't think we'll see much activity in the east Friday night. So here's a rainfall forecast. Very impressive here from southwest through central, northeastern South Dakota as we head through Saturday morning. And again, most of this is going to be happening overnight tonight and during the day tomorrow, but very impressive amounts here in central South Dakota. Those orange colors, well, we don't even have that on the scale here, so that would be more than 2 inches in a few spots there in central portions of South Dakota. So good coverage of rainfall coming our way over the next 24 to 36 hours. Here's a 10-day forecast now. First of all, for the Sioux Falls area, showers and storms likely tomorrow. A slight chance on Friday, mainly in the morning in the Sioux Falls area. And then the Labor Day weekend looking very nice. Temperatures 70s to around 80. And that kind of weather is going to stick around through the rest of our 10-day forecast. For Aberdeen and northeastern South Dakota, here's our 10-day. Showers and storms tomorrow. Slight chance on Friday. We'll have a few more coming back possibly Friday night, but the weekend is looking quiet through Labor Day and the rest of the 10-day forecast, 70s and 80s. And for Pierre and central South Dakota, showers and storms tonight and tomorrow, and a few more coming back Friday afternoon and Friday evening, lasting into Saturday morning, but I think Saturday afternoon is going to be dry, and so will be the rest of that 10-day forecast with highs in the 70s and 80s, Brian.
Thank you, Phil. A Minnesota couple accused of a Bernie Madoff-style Ponzi scheme, which could mean hundreds of investors are out millions of dollars.
Jennifer Mayerly reports tonight.
The SEC has frozen the assets of Shakopee couple Jason Bullard and Angela Romero Bullard, seen in this picture.
They're alleging a very classic Ponzi scheme, much modeled after Madoff.
Doug Kelly is an attorney not related to the case, but he was a court-appointed receiver in the state's largest Ponzi scheme. In the Bullards case, investigators allege the couple said they'd invest family and friends' money and instead use it for car payments, credit cards, life insurance premiums, and living expenses. The nearly $18 million from roughly 200 investors also apparently went to prop up their other businesses, including Empire Racing Stables that races horses at Canterbury Park.
When people started asking to get their money out, they did what is so typical in a Ponzi scheme. They took the new investors' money to pay the old investors off.
No one answered at the couple's Shakopee home when I knocked, and we haven't heard back from their attorneys. According to documents, it's an address tied to their businesses.
People we spoke with say they know the Bullards to be nice and trustworthy. Others out here at Canterbury say they are respected members of the racing community.
I never even suspected it, but I guess I wasn't looking for it either.
Burnell Rome trains 2 of the horses with their racing club. This one raced Tuesday night at Canterbury. Many involved are worried about their own investments.
All I know is he paid the bills. Where he got the money, I don't know, but you know, he's been a good relationship for me.
That was was Jennifer Mayerly reporting. The Minnesota Racing Commission and Canterbury say they will cooperate with the criminal investigation. Well, Dakota News Now returns bright and early at 5 tomorrow morning.
Here is a sneak peek at what they'll be covering.
In case you missed it this morning, Beth Warden was live in Mitchell. That's where a mask mandate went in for their public schools there. Also talked about the new issue of 605 magazine. That is out, the September issue, and we told you what's in it.
And be super excited for tomorrow. The Downtown Pork Showdown will be here, and we'll have our reporter Cordell out there checking that out. And the Sioux Falls Little League team is going to be joining us.
Yeah, after their great run at the Little League
World Series. I can't wait to talk with them.
It all starts at 5 a.m.
Miss your favorite show? Go to Fox.com for full episodes on Fox Now.
Go to DakotaNewsNow.com and stay connected. For all of your local news stories, weather forecasts, and sport highlights, go to DakotaNewsNow.com and stay connected.
The Fritos Outlaw Pizza from Papa Murphy's. Brisket, mozzarella, barbecue sauce, and Fritos. The Outlaws are here for a limited time. Take and bake deliciousness only from Papa Murphy's.
Make over your kitchen with help from Menards. This American Standard Northport pull-down kitchen faucet comes in a modern matte black finish and a timeless stainless steel finish to match any style. All kitchen faucets are 11% off. Complete your kitchen with a Moen garbage disposal. This half-horsepower model makes cleanup easy by quickly grinding food scraps. Save 11% on all garbage disposals at Menards and complete your kitchen today.
Save big money at Menards.
At Culver's, we never tire of crafting fresh frozen custard right in our restaurants.
As soon as I'm like, who wants Culver's custard? The kids are already running out the door.
Hello, everybody. Here's your custard. Always rich and creamy, always sure to put a smile on your face.
It's more than just a special treat. It's creating memories with my children and family time.
Is it really good?
Yeah.
Family time is custard time. Welcome to Delicious.
Fans love The Big Bang Theory. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for making us laugh and smile for all these years.
Thanks for all the new things I've learned. I feel so much smarter.
Namaste.
Thank you for putting your heart and soul into this work.
Thank you for all the happiness you bring to us.
Oh, you're welcome.
You didn't just make an impact on me, you made an impact on the whole world.
You have made every single one of these episodes an absolute dream come true. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you.
Watch The Big Bang Theory every weeknight at 6 on Fox Sioux Falls.
Well, be sure to join us tomorrow. The Sioux Falls Little League team will be joining us.
And we're going to take a look at your forecast. We have a pretty good chance for rain. You can get all the details and all the information starting at 5 o'clock Thursday morning.
Hearing the words, "You have cancer," can be a dark moment for anyone, but you can be the light that cures cancer. Join us for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Light the Night. It's Thursday, September 16th at Falls Park. You can register online now at lightthenight.org.
Well, here's a look at that severe thunderstorm watch that's still in effect till 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's for portions of southwest and south central South Dakota. I wouldn't be surprised if something is added maybe farther to the north and east later on tonight, but that's what we have for now. So here's a look at First Alert Live Doppler radar. We're starting to see those stronger storms making it across the state line from Nebraska, and there's more of those down to the south in the Nebraska Panhandle and Andrea Anderson's old stomping grounds there, Scotts Bluff, right? And that's moving to the north and east overnight. So this is why I think there is a possibility of a storm watch issued farther north and east, because that severe weather risk extends to the north and east higher, or farther north than where that watch is right now. So we'll keep you posted on that. And here's a look now at the futurecast. Watch these storms move to the north and east overnight into early tomorrow morning, kind of developing over the same area. So we're talking about heavy rain in some spots. And then here's tomorrow during the day, showers and isolated storms over much of our area, a few breaks here and there. Tomorrow evening around 5, still some lingering showers and storms. Everything starts to move away as we head into Thursday night, and a few more showers lingering into Friday morning, but then Friday afternoon I think is going to be pretty nice.
Thank you, Phil.
Okay.
Thank you for being here with us tonight. Late Night Laughs up next on Fox Sioux Falls, beginning with Last Man Standing.
And Dakota News Now continues in 2 minutes over on KSFY and KDLT. Have a good evening.
Dakota News Now is sponsored by Billion Automotive.
This is it. Your last chance to save big on over 1,700 vehicles all in one place. It's Billion Automotive's last great sale of the year, going on now at the WH Lion Fairgrounds. Credit less than perfect. Apply for credit pre-approval at BillionAuto.com. Then make the short drive to huge fairground savings. Compare 13 new car franchises and a huge selection of used vehicles starting at just $49.90. Shop over 1,700 vehicles through Labor Day at the WH Lion Fairgrounds or BillionAuto.com.
When someone says comfort sandwich, the first thing you should think of is Arby's prime rib cheesesteak. The second thing you think of is all those fixins melting and mingling in Arby's prime rib cheesesteak. The third thing you think of is how you might work Arby's prime rib cheesesteak into your schedule today. And the last thing you think of is Arby's prime rib cheesesteak. Arby's, we have the meats.
Wrap your head around this. Erectile dysfunction.
Not guilty. On count 5, how do you plead? Not guilty.
I wonder what Richard Pryor would be doing today.
Politically correct.
I think PCB damned. Pryor in this time would have been able to say anything he wanted to say because there was truth behind it. I don't think he would have had to change a damn thing.
The legacy of Richard Pryor, I hope it's the courage to search for truth in comedy. And there are very few people who are willing to make that journey.
Whatever you feel about me when you see me right now is the truth, and don't ever forget it. Just look at me with your heart. That's all I ask.
Country music is bringing the heat. It's CMA Summer Jam. The hottest stars light up Nashville with the biggest hits and brand new collaborations.
Welcome back to Nashville, everybody.
CMA Summer Jam, Thursday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Dakota News Now begins with an alert from the First Alert Weather Center.
Good evening, I'm Andrea Anderson.
I'm Brian Allen. We have a busy evening of news tonight. Calls for stronger efforts to stop COVID-19 in South Dakota. On the same day, we see protests against some of the measures already in place.
Major new developments in the investigation into that deadly crash involving the Attorney General of South Dakota. And to top that off, the threat of severe weather for some of us tonight.
Yeah, we will begin with that look at weather with our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Phil Schreck. He joins us now. Phil, what do you think?
Right, now it looks like that severe weather threat is going to be mainly in southwest and south central South Dakota.
Increasing efforts to test for COVID-19 in the Black Hills, the role the National Guard is taking on. Making it easier to get vaccinated, the free clinics being set up throughout the state. And we'll take you to Lenox in tonight's Your Money Matters, where a remodeled restaurant is feeding a demand. Good evening. Western South Dakota hospitals are helping more COVID-19 patients than ever before. Monument Health is also experiencing a surge of tests. It's gotten so busy that 9 National Guard members have been called in to help. KELO's Sydney Thorson talks with staff and the Guard about the current situation.
In the last few weeks, the number of COVID-19 cases has increased drastically. That's why
Heavy rainfall as well as this moves to the east, and during the day tomorrow here is noon, showers and a couple of storms in eastern South Dakota. That continues into the afternoon and starts to taper off in the evening. Heading into Friday morning, just a couple of showers left over, but I think Friday afternoon is going to be pretty nice before another line of storms moves in from the west Friday late in the day, but that'll track to the southeast and dissipate into Friday night. We'll have your complete forecast through Labor Day and beyond coming up in a few minutes.
Deeper and deeper divide in the community. And it's sad to see that because, you know, I've lived in the area my entire life and I don't want to see this happen in my hometown.
That deep divide over the effort of stopping the spread of COVID-19. Protesters in Mitchell this morning against a mask mandate reinstated at schools there. Now those cries set against pleas from the South Dakota medical community facing a second straight fall of surging cases. All of this comes amid what has been a significant rise in COVID-19 cases in South Dakota over the past few weeks. The Department of Health reporting over 500 new coronavirus cases today as active cases and hospitalizations approach levels not seen since early January. Kevin Gonzalez takes a closer look at some of today's developments. Good evening, Kevin.
Andrea, Sioux Falls health leaders held a COVID-19 press conference for the first time in months to address the situation. A big concern, the Delta variant, which is shown to be more infectious. Representatives from the city, Sanford, and Abera spoke on how if nothing is done, COVID-19 cases will continue to rise.
We believe Sioux Falls is about 3 to 4 weeks away from peaking in terms of cases and hospital capacity. The time to take action is now.
All three said preventative measures like wearing masks, social distancing, and washing hands will help slow the spread. But there is one key to putting COVID-19 behind us.
We cannot emphasize that enough. Vaccine is the way we get out of the situation. I think we all desire to get back to life as we knew it prior to the beginning of the pandemic. And we're very convinced that vaccine is the way we get there. If we look at what's happening nationally, we see very clearly that communities that have high vaccination rates are seeing fewer and fewer infections.
Some places are taking stronger steps, not just suggesting, but mandating measures to slow COVID-19. A growing number of schools requiring masks. More and more organizations, including Sanford Health, mandating that all employees get vaccinated. But some feel these measures infringe on their freedoms. Their concerns turning into action in the form of a protest at Sanford Wednesday.
When this requirement came out, and I say it's abusive, to say, do this to your body or else. I understand that we are an at-will state, but when you say, take this or lose your job, I look at that as an abuse of power.
At the press conference, all three leaders spoke on the Delta variant and how it is infecting more children, and recommended students and school staff wear masks. The Sioux Falls School District tells us they continue to encourage the use of face coverings, but are not mandating them. Brian?
Kevin Gonzalez tonight. Kevin, thank you. A family in Avon mourning the loss of their dog after they say the city's mayor shot her. This is an incident that has sparked controversy in the small South Dakota community. The family tonight says they want justice.
The incident happened almost 2 weeks ago when Ruby, a 3-year-old pit bull, was shot and killed.
It all started on August 21st when Matthew and Ashley Counts took their kids to riverboat days in Yankton. While they were away, 2 of their dogs, Ruby and Maggie, got loose. When the Counts returned home around 9 o'clock that night, Maggie was home, but Ruby was nowhere to be found.
I couldn't find her. I looked everywhere. I went to neighbors. I went driving around the alleys. I walked around.
Matthew says he texted the city mayor, Mike Petrick, asking him if he had seen his dog. He also contacted local authorities and posted to the community's Facebook page, Avon FYI.
Nobody's seen Ruby.
Sunday, Matthew says the Bonhomme County Sheriff's Office contacted him about Ruby.
I don't want to tell you this. I can't leave her. I'd come tell you in person, he said. But your dog was shot, and I'm not for sure exactly what happened. He was shot by the mayor.
The Bonhomme Sheriff's Office confirmed the mayor, Mike Petrick, was involved in an incident with a dog, but wouldn't give further details because the investigation is ongoing. Matthew says there is no reason the mayor should have taken this action.
I texted him that night and I said, why would you shoot my dog?
Later, Matthew says Petrick came over to his home to tell him what happened.
And he said, well, I was trying to get the dog in the fence, and she was being kind of aggressive. That's all he said. And he just told me he shot her.
Matthew says that conversation left him with more questions than answers.
Why is the mayor in my yard? You know, why didn't he call animal shelter if my dog's being aggressive? If he was told by other people my dog was being aggressive, why would he be by himself, coming in my yard, trying to put the dog in the kennel?
But to get the full picture, you need to go back. Matthew Churchma, an Avon resident, says Matthew Counts' property and his dogs have been brought up multiple times at city council meetings over the last 3 months. Churchma remembers one specific resident who voiced concerns that Count's dogs weren't licensed in the city and didn't have the proper immunization.
It was an individual in the neighborhood that mentioned this dog. She had little kids running around. She was very, very concerned about it and wanted something done.
Documents Count sent to me show Ruby was vaccinated on June 6, 2019. However, at the time of the incident, none of Count's dogs had been licensed to the city of Avon, which is a violation of city ordinance. According to Churchma, Count's dog Ruby was specifically described during an August meeting as aggressive.
Everybody assumes it was because it was part pit bull or whatever breed it was. That had nothing to do with it. We have a lot of people that walk around the city of Avon that wouldn't walk by his place, or if they did, felt threatened.
Counts strongly opposes that claim.
I have, a bunch of kids here, and they all jump on Ruby, play with Ruby. They love Ruby, and not one sign of aggressive.
Should Ruby have been declared as vicious or dangerous by the city on the day she was loose, according to city ordinance, the dog could have been destroyed by the Avon Police Department. However, the city did not have an active officer on duty Saturday, August 21st.
So from what I heard, the mayor gets a call and says, hey, we got a call that there's a dog running this gal's yard. There's a gentleman out there and it's not going good. It's aggressive. They need to have you come over. If Mr. Counts is upset over his dog getting shot in his yard, I can't say it did. I can't say it didn't get shot in his yard, but I will say it was not in his yard the whole time. This dog had been brought up before. Mayor goes over, handles it how he sees fit.
And that's what the Avon City Attorney says happened, because the Bonhomme County Sheriff's Department was involved in another case. Kent Lair says the mayor took it upon himself to handle the situation because no law enforcement was available. Lair says that's not uncommon in small communities like Avon. Since making the incident public, Counts feels his family is being targeted by some members of the community.
I got cameras!
This whole week I've pretty much been crying because of it, and it's just upsetting because I was really attached to Ruby.
Brenda Roth, also a resident of Avon, says that Avon FYI Facebook page was littered with rude comments regarding the situation, which she added have since been deleted.
I was just devastated at how horrible people were attacking this family. Unfoundedly.
However, others in town say the situation is not black and white, showing their support for the mayor on that same Facebook page.
To say that the mayor, Mike Petrick, is going out and going after random people and all this and that, all he's doing is being the mayor. He's following the city ordinance that the city made. If you live in the city, you agree to the ordinance.
The Roths live down the block from the Counts. They saw Ruby alongside Maggie on the day she was killed.
They meandered down the street, and it was cute. They zigzagged across the street, never going in anybody's yard. But you could tell her, she just kept nudging the little chihuahua, and then we watched them. They came back to their house and went up on their step.
Brenda says it's not right how the Counts have been treated.
There's a sign outside of Avon my daughter reminded me of. It says Avon, small town, big heart. But that is not the kind of heart that I'm proud of for living here.
Counts has since been granted a temporary restraining order against Mike Petrick, which runs through September 20th. The couple is seeking to extend that order to keep the mayor away from their home for 5 years. Lair says the mayor is shook up about the incident and did what he thought was best for his safety and the safety of the community.
Scott Engen tonight. Well, new developments this evening on that deadly crash involving Attorney General Jason Ravnsborg.
South Dakota Secretary of Public Safety Craig Price publicly stating he believes Ravnsborg should have faced much more serious charges in connection with that crash. Jacob Sersasso has been watching this unfold all day. He's at the Now Desk. Jacob.
Yeah, hey, Brian and Andrea. This all stems from the night of September 12th, 2020. That's when Ravnsborg struck and killed pedestrian Joe Beaver with his car near Highmore. Now, prosecutors said they only had enough evidence to charge Ravnsborg with 3 misdemeanors. Now, tonight, we've learned Governor Kristi Noem, who has publicly called for Ravnsborg to resign, has sent the full crash report to the Speaker of the House to assist in considering whether to file articles of impeachment against Ravnsborg. Now, while that full report has not been made public, the cover letter by Public Safety Secretary Craig Price was released. And in that letter, Price states, in his opinion and in the opinion of the highway patrol officers involved in the investigation, Ravnsborg should have been charged with second-degree manslaughter. Adding troopers were ready to testify in support of that. Price said prosecutors knew their position. Now, as we reported last week, Ravnsborg took a plea deal and was found guilty of only 2 of the 3 misdemeanors. He was ordered to pay a fine and won't serve any jail time. Now, the second-degree manslaughter charge Price recommended is a Class 4 felony, punishable of up to 10 years in prison. Live at the Now Desk, Jacob Sersosimo, Dakota News Now.
Jacob, thank you. Well, Sioux Falls could soon have a new elementary school. At their working meeting this afternoon,
Mirror Center, the only live radar network. KELO Live Doppler HD, sponsored by these partners.
And thunderstorms in southwestern South Dakota and parts of the panhandle of Nebraska will be watched as they continue to move to the northeast, as these will contain periods of heavy rain. They already do. Also the possibility for some gusty winds and even some hail with some of these stronger storms. Let's take a look at KELO Live Doppler HD. You can see all this coming in from the southwest, and it will continue to move to the northeast. And as it does, these storms will grow. And the thinking is more or less they may affect the same areas as we do go through the overnight hours, even spilling over into tomorrow morning. So heavy rain is looking likely in southwestern South Dakota, central into northeastern KELO during the overnight hours and into tomorrow morning. Temperatures right now are in the 60s and 70s, and we continue with east to southeast winds.
The weather was so bad, and the flood warnings as well. This is tough stuff. And imagine what they dealt with down south, right? We're getting just the remnants of that, but imagine what they dealt with in Louisiana and Mississippi and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about this being a historic storm, one that we have not seen as far as how slow it was moving once it made landfall, maintaining that Category 4 strength across southern Louisiana for almost 6 hours. And of course, now it pushes across the northeast. The population density in this region is far greater, so the impacts are going to be far greater, even if the storm doesn't have the same ferocity when it comes to winds. But again, you notice tornadoes already spawned. A flood emergency is as impressive or as serious as it gets because water rescues are taking place, because this is a catastrophic flood. So flood warnings happen very frequently with storms almost every single day. The National Weather Service in New York City has never issued a flood emergency for that area. So it really speaks volumes of what's happening there.
We're speaking right now. There's a flash flood emergency in effect until 11:30, about 15 more minutes, but I don't know if that's going to be extended, Pedram. It was also issued for New York City. That's according to the Weather Service, covering Manhattan, Queens, and the Bronx, and areas as far north as White Plains.
What if meets why not?
Is getting close to 2 inches, and I would not be surprised if we get some of us over 2 inches of rain.
Life opens up.
We've heard the president talk about voting rights, some policing, some. It will remain to be seen whether or not abortion rises to his priorities, and he starts to talk about it in a way that is daily, in a way that is pressing his party as the leader of the Democratic Party to do more.
Joyce, I mean, there's so much news tonight. I can't get a second question on anything because I have to cover other things. There's news now that 2 officials of the Trump Organization, 2 Trump Organization employees, are expected to testify before a Manhattan grand jury this week. What does this tell you about where Manhattan prosecutors are in this investigation?
In New York grand jury practice, when you bring a witness in to testify in the grand jury, they're given immunity for any of the testimony that they give. They can't be personally prosecuted for those events. So that means that these 2 folks, the head of security at Trump Organization will be one of the 2 witnesses. That means that they have been immunized and that prosecutors obviously have their sights set on a bigger fish. And while we don't know precisely who that is, Matthew Calamari Sr. has not testified in front of the grand jury. There has been some speculation that he is also a participant in this tax avoidance scheme involving cars and apartments that are given to employees by the Trump Organization. So there seems to be good reason to believe that prosecutors are at least considering additional indictments in this matter.
Man who saved Joe's bacon, now he's been forsaken.
Yeah, this is some reward. An Afghan interpreter who helped rescue Biden and John Kerry from a snowstorm in 2008, allowing them to continue to make disastrous foreign policy decisions, has been left behind. It was the most daring rescue of a Biden from an avalanche of white stuff since Hunter.
We're collecting dry Purina dog, puppy, cat, and kitten chow. The burger battle has become a tasty tradition in downtown Sioux Falls. The event has grown from 6 participants in 2018 to 24 last January, with Papa Woody's claiming victory. Now the event itself is an award winner. The International Downtown Association, based in Washington, D.C., is recognizing DTSF with an award of excellence related to the 2021 Downtown Burger Battle.
Now that we've got this award under our belt, I don't know how someone can avoid Burger Battle. It's going to be a great year. We're really looking forward to it. And
there, just to the west of the Pier area, some places may be getting around 3 inches of rainfall over the next 24 to 36 hours. Here's that 10-day forecast now for Sioux Falls and Montrose, South Dakota for tomorrow. Showers and storms likely. A slight chance on Friday.
And the system does look to finally clear out, push towards the Canadian Maritimes as we get into, say, 7, 8, 9 a.m. So much of the Northeast is going to be under the impacts. The heaviest rainfall taking place now into the next couple of hours, and then it continues up through Boston and into portions of New England before it's all said and done. But really important to kind of highlight that when it comes to getting these heavy rain events in a major metro area, and much of this area, of course, major metro populations, as you noted there, with highest populations in the country, that urban landscape, it's all concrete. And with heavy rainfall, when it hits the ground, if it's concrete and asphalt in a populated environment there, studies have shown about 55% of what hits the ground becomes runoff, where if you're in a, say, a countryside landscape on a farmer area where you have soil, about 10% of that becomes runoff. So 90% of it is absorbed. So this is going to have a different impact than the amount of rain you would see elsewhere in the country, just because of how populated it is and how much concrete there is there to be had when the rain falls on the ground.
Flooding in New York City, the bad weather suspending subway service on all lines due to the weather from Ida, and there is a new tornado watch for the Northeast, which includes New York City. We're on top of the breaking weather situation. We'll be right back.
We're celebrating Labor Day.
Jack's Bash 2.
Question. And the fact of the matter is there was a military solution and the Taliban won. That was a military solution and they won. And you're now saying that you helped the United States. I think I'm reading through the lines that it was clear that the US wasn't being attacked over the last 18 months of the Doha Agreement. So what do you want to see going forward? What will stop Afghanistan descending into another civil war? And don't forget, even though you don't like to point the finger of blame, your own Prime Minister has said that the Taliban has delivered Afghanistan from slavery. What do you want to see? What can they deliver?
I think, Christiane, what we want to see is peace and stability, because my country has suffered through 4 decades of war, strife, and foreign military interventions in Afghanistan. And the fallout is before you. I mean, you've been to this part of the world. You have traveled through Pakistan and to Afghanistan, and you have seen we had to deal with refugees, millions of them. We had to deal with a security challenge. We also had to deal with the problem of drugs. I mean, we had to deal with the...
Savings are huge at Unclave Freight Furniture. Save
materials and warranties.
The international community do in Afghanistan is to remain united and to engage with the new government whenever it's formed, and to ensure that Afghanistan, we don't see Afghanistan going into state collapse. That can happen. Look, the economic situation there is very dire. So as far as Pakistan is concerned, we, like other neighboring countries, would also like the Taliban to hold firm to their commitments that they have made to the international community. For example, they have said that they will not allow their soil to be used against attacks on any other country in the region or in fact in the world. So I think that's what we'd like to hold them to. But in order to ensure that they are able to deliver on their promises, we need to also ensure that they're not pushed to the wall and that they are encouraged, because international engagement so far seems to have had at least an initial moderating effect.
For volunteers to help haul all of those stones.
area farmers to donate fieldstone, and we're looking for individuals, whether it's a church group or civic group or other community members, to help actually haul and unload that stone here at our new location. So then our architect can take that, or our landscapers and our builders can use that fieldstone in lots of different ways.
Now for details on how you can get involved, just head over to this story on your Dakota News Now app.
A South Dakota tradition returning to Huron tomorrow. Gates at the State Fair open up tomorrow morning. You can find a link to the full schedule on dakotanewsnow.com. The fair runs through Monday. A new charging option for electric vehicle owners quickly gaining popularity in downtown Sioux Falls. It's called a charge point station, and it's located at Rail Yard Flats, the new office and apartment building on East 8th Street. Drivers pay by credit card or through an app. A full charge takes about 2 hours. This is the second charge point station in Sioux Falls. The other is located by J&L Harley-Davidson. Next in sports, the Division II colleges will finally get back on the football field, and they are ready. Mark Obadin has reaction from local teams next in Dakota News Now Sports.
Hungry.
Your last chance.
And enjoy the.
Is that my sister and I decide to spend the summer in Yankton. Supposedly our parents have a cabin there at Yankton that has not been used for a while. Two of the characters are basically based on my husband and myself. They're, if you know us, we're pretty recognizable. My sister and the guy that she ends up ending up with, it's the personality of my sister and brother-in-law, but their storyline is total fiction.
It's fun to read about it and go, hey, I know that place. I've been there. Oh, I know what she's talking about there.
Dirksen has lived with her family in Sioux Falls for about 40 years. But for about the last 30 years, they make trips down to the Yankton community.
We just always think that Yankton has the most to offer. If you want to do just a week away, you know, by a lake somewhere, Yankton is beautiful. The lake is beautiful. The campgrounds are great. We love jet skiing.
Dirksen never expected herself to become an author. She retired from nursing just last week, and with the time she has now, she says a sequel may even be in store for the future.
And when I started writing something that I thought was fun and that pertained to us and our family, and, you know, with a bunch of fiction thrown in, it was just really so much more fun than I ever thought it would be.
With Eye on KELO Land, I'm Sarah McDonald.
Congratulations, what an achievement. Now, Dirksen says you can find her book on Amazon and also at Pied Piper Flowers and Gifts in Yankton. You can also get it at Zanbros here in Sioux Falls. Well, SDSU football will have a new starting quarterback for their season opener Friday. We'll meet the new Jack's signal caller next in sports.
The KELO Land Live.
Good fun.
Dakota News Now is sponsored by Shopko Optical.
This is Dakota News Now Sports.
Well, both of the FCS schools begin their seasons on Friday night on the road. The Coyotes will head south to Lawrence, Kansas to play the Jayhawks, who are an FBS school. It's pretty common for schools like USD to open their season against a much larger school for many reasons, money being one of those. The check is a nice bonus, but head coach Bob Nielsen likes the idea of starting his season against a team like Kansas.
I think there's some good things about that. Number one, you know, you get to play against the very best. Also, from a regional standpoint, it's a game that has a lot of meaning to your student athletes, who in many cases, you know, come from those states.
It's really a situation where the Coyotes have nothing to lose and plenty to gain in terms of confidence. That game is on Friday night, and the following week the Coyotes will have their first game in the updated Dakota Dome against Northern Arizona. Although USD, SDSU, and all the NEIA schools did play in either 2020 or this spring, it's been more like 600 days since Augie, USF, Northern, and SMSU and other D2 schools last played a game. And they're certainly eager for an opening day 2 years in the making. Zach Borg has more.
What does a football team do when football is taken away?
Got some yard work done. You know, got the honey-do list shaved for the last 5 years.
To see who was playing.
maybe it'll work out. That's a great question. I don't remember what I was doing on Saturdays back then.
Though every other college and high school program played some type of football last season, our region's 4 NSIC schools spent the last year trying to simulate a season as best they could.
To be honest, we practiced on some Saturdays, so they got the feel for it. I didn't want them to just Monday through Friday, you're done. And we wanted to go on a couple Saturdays and keep it fresh and scrimmage a little bit and compete.
It's been about 18 months just going against your own teammates, and we were able to have those 2 controlled scrimmages in the spring. We were able to go see some opponents, and that definitely was good for us.
The challenge was even more difficult at Northern State, where new head coach Mike Schmidt had been hired in
And for you in this week's Cutler Business Beat.
Plus, we learn how stores predict trends for the upcoming season on tomorrow's KELO Living.
For the 3rd straight year, SDSU will have a new starting quarterback as Chris Oladokin will take the reins under center. KELO's Tanner Castora shows you how Oladokin's focus helped the Florida native find his spot in Brookings.
Some may call it a dream, while others call it a goal. But for Chris Oladokin, playing quarterback was a vision.
My dad asked me, I always used to watch football growing up, and I finally went to play flag football, and he's like, well, what do you want to play? And I told him quarterback, and he's like, are you sure? And I was like, yes. And he's like, well, why do you want to play? I'm like, the camera's always on them, they always have the ball, that's what I was attracted to.
Born and raised in Tampa, Florida, Oladokin would first attend the University of South Florida for 3 seasons. He would then transfer to FCS program Samford and would account for 29 total touchdowns over 2 years. But by May of 2021, Oladokin was in search of a new start.
Transfer recruiting process versus a high school recruiting process. It's a lot more, I'd say, business-like, especially Chris being a very mature kid, going to be a 6th-year senior. He wanted to know a lot more about us as a football program, the culture of the team, if we had his graduate degree, things of that nature.
After arriving at SDSU in early June, Oladokin would pay his dues to earn his stripes.
In the summer, I think there was a couple guys that would stay late after summer lift, and it was, me, another couple of linemen, Isaiah Davis, and Chris. He earned respect that way, and he works his butt off, and he's an awesome guy, and we all appreciate him as a leader on the team.
To be able to lead a team, of 122 guys, and the coaches, staff, support staff, and all that, I don't take it lightly, and it's something, I've really wanted. That's why I came here. So to get that, it was a great feeling.
And if all goes well, and the Jacks do advance to the playoffs for the 10th straight season, with his younger brother Jordan playing cornerback at Samford, if the stars do align, there's a chance the two could play one another.
My brother brings it up to me about 10 times a week, so trust me, but I tell him we both got to take care of business during the season. So.
In Brookings, Tanner Castora, KELO Sports.
Now, SDSU will begin their season this Friday against Colorado State, which also happens just to be Oladokin's birthday. Well, though the Little League World Series is over, the celebration for Sioux Falls' team continued tonight out at the Sanford Pentagon. We'll have that story up next.
Had quite a run, ended up finishing 4th at the Little League World Series in Pennsylvania. Now it's life back to normal after 25 days on the road between regionals and the series, but it sure was fun while it lasted.
So thankful to be a part of it. These kids are just a special group of kids, and I'm just so thankful, to lead onto a field.
It's just a once in a lifetime. I keep saying that because it is a once in a lifetime. So yeah, it's amazing. The atmosphere is cool, having all of the fans back there.
Number 16.
This is the farthest a Midwest team has ever advanced in the World Series. That did not have any foreign countries this year because of COVID-19. They took 2 teams from each region instead of 1. Next year, the field will expand to 20. Speaking of baseball, the Canaries looking for some revenge after getting swept last night by Kansas City at the Birdcage. Tyler Garco was really good. 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 7 strikeouts. And here's your game winner in the 7th inning, breaking open a scoreless game. Garrett Hope with an RBI double scores the only run that the pitching would need. Final score 2-0 in favor of Sioux Falls. Twins loss 3-0. Phil's back with a final check of the weather right after this.
This is it. Your last chance to save big.
So this is what people look at the roads here in New York City. This is what people are driving through if they're out on the roads now. This is what folks are experiencing on New York City buses, mass transportation at a standstill, really, here in New York City, especially on the roads. But I should say, especially in the subway system, where the entire subway system is shut down now, suspended. Subway.
Need. Bring donations of pet food and supplies to the KELOLAND studios this Friday, September 3rd. Details on KELOLAND.com.
Sioux Falls Little League finished 4th place at the Little League World Series. The team was welcomed home late Monday night by family and friends, and tonight they were given a special celebration out at the Sanford Pentagon. Now, the Sioux Falls team picked up the first non-consolation round wins by any South Dakota team at the Little League World Series. Now, several Minnesota Twins, including Byron Buxton, along with other notable athletes like Chad Greenway, shared congratulatory messages with the team. Mayor Paul Tenhaken and Senator John Thune both spoke, and Mayor Tenhaken was even presented with his own Sioux Falls jersey. And for the players and their coach, it was the perfect way to celebrate a summer they'll never forget.
Knowing that people are supporting us, and stuff like this, just people are really recognizing what we're doing, especially for the Pentagon, just giving us all this free stuff and all the recognition. It's pretty cool.
To be able to get home and see the buzz that's been around this town and, hear from my neighbors to people I have no idea, who they are. They're sending us text messages and just kind of thanking us for, for giving them some joy, over the last few weeks. And I'm just so thankful to be a part of this community and everything that they've done for our families and our boys.
And you can hear more from the Little League team and their magical run on this week's Sports Zone Saturday. Well, the KELOLAND Sports Zone returns Friday, and you have just one more day to cast your vote for the Viewer's Choice Game of the Week. And Hamlin and Castlewood currently leading with 64% of the vote. But once again, you have until 10 o'clock tomorrow night to cast your vote. Winning game will receive extended highlights online following Sports Zone on Friday night.
And in weather, we'll continue to follow these thunderstorms in parts of southwestern South Dakota. They will move to the north and to the northeast.
And Stevens crushes the inside-out forehand winner.
FTC, CDC have all become political, bureaucratic entities. So I don't actually think we're getting the full truth on everything either.
I don't know. I think that over time, the truth keeps moving towards the direction that these vaccines are doing a pretty bang-up job. They're not like, okay, they're not as well researched as a smallpox vaccine, but that was different. But what we're seeing now is this has been pretty, it's been pretty phenomenal.
Have you looked at the VAERS data?
The VAERS data is weird because it's self-reported and it's not actually controlled. People can
taking over after the Kennedy assassination, a gigantic figure in our mid-century politics, and Roe v. Wade, a monumental, world-changing court decision that affected 50% of the U.S. population, the female part, and giving them control over their bodies in a way they never had before. So we had an epic argument for hours in our college newsroom as to which was the bigger headline. We ended up fudging it, and they both got huge headlines, and one read down one side of the page, one read down the other. But that was almost 50 years ago, and I think I frankly don't think Roe v. Wade will live to see 50. I don't think we'll get to January 22nd, 2023 with Roe v. Wade intact or perhaps even in existence. I think this court is ready to either gut it or simply reverse it.
And Susan, what happens then? Obviously, we know the practical effects of what happens then. That means that women will not be able to get abortions. But politically, that is seismic. This is something that the public has understood. Whether or not you are in favor of the right to have an abortion or not, the public has understood that this is the law of the land, and that's the way it is to be for some time. That has shifted.
It has shifted, and I go back to 2016 when I met so many younger women who were talking about not really relating the importance of what older women felt about Hillary Clinton and getting a woman over the top and the fight for for the right to choose. And there's a couple of generations now of women who don't understand what it means not to have that choice. And I think that will be a big motivator, especially come 2022. I think both sides will start raising money like crazy. But this is something that should, scare every woman out there who thinks she should have control over her own body. And hopefully that will motivate them come 2022, because this, they can get rid of Roe v. Wade, but states can put in legislation that does allow for abortion.
Eugene, I want to ask you about some...
Looking to the 3-hour rainfall totals in Central Park, 5.3 inches has come down in Central Park in the past 3 hours. You take an area such as across the western U.S., go to Spokane, Washington, they picked up 5 inches since January 1st. This happens in 3 hours in New York City. Of course, completely different population density, and that's going to lead to significantly greater impacts, and that is exactly what is playing out here. And Brian really made a great point when it comes to the impacts of climate change and how these events, of course, are happening more and more frequently. And here we go. We have upwards of 70 million that are underneath these flood alerts, whether it be warnings or watches. But I noted earlier that when it comes to our temperatures on our planet warming up, and when they warm by an average of about 1 degree Celsius, which is what has been observed across the world since pre-industrial times, moisture content, the atmospheric water vapor, has increased by about 7% as a result. So for every 1 degree we go up, almost 10% increase in water vapor in the atmosphere. So rain events become heavier, and so many studies have been done on this, Don, kind of looking at why this happens. And guess where the most likely area in the country, the highest likely area to see heavy rain events take place as a result of warming of our planet is? And it's right there around the Northeast, 71% increase from a study that looked at 1958 to 2012 for increased heavy rain events, and that puts the highest likelihood scenario right there around the Northeast as it's been playing out.
Well, look at that water pouring into the New York City subway system. I have another warning coming in from New Jersey, Petram. The mayor there, Passaic, New Jersey, saying, Hector Laura saying, stay off the streets. Stay off the streets of the city tonight, warning residents to stay off the streets as flooding associated with this post-tropical cyclone Ida begins to fill the roads, leaving some motorists stranded, he said. Now, this is a quote from him. The mayor says, we have vehicles stuck in the street. Water has risen so high that we have 4 to 5 vehicles stuck in the middle of the street, saying emergency vehicles are also getting stuck in the rising water. We've also had people get stuck. We've had fire trucks stuck. We've had ambulances stuck. We've had people that are still stuck that are not getting out of the water. And that is a quote from the Deputy Chief, Louis Gentile. And there's a video of all of that. So there you go. This is people, is this on, where are we looking at now, guys? That was Queen. This is what the National Weather Service has tweeted just now. We are seeing way too many reports of water rescues and stranded motorists. Do not drive through flooded roadways. You do not know how deep the water is, and it is too dangerous. Turn around, don't drown. So that is from the National Weather Service in New York City. This is what you're looking at, the Grand Central Parkway in Queens now. And this is water, many of those cars or vehicles are going to get stuck because they're going to flood out. And so traffic at a standstill, water up to the door, probably going inside of some of those vehicles. And this is what's happening all over the Northeast at this moment. Our meteorologist Pedram said much of this was predicted.
Above 5 feet of water in our city. We declared a state of emergency. I had declared it earlier today and directed residents and business owners to close. Unfortunately, some individuals continued on the road driving through barricades, and we can't stress enough the importance of following these directives and following the news when you're told to stay home and stay inside. It's been a real challenge, but the response of our fire department, our police, our emergency responders, these true heroes, they have consistently been out there making every effort to rescue lives and to prevent more tragedy.
Oh, gosh, Mr. Mayor, certainly some heroes out there, first responders that are out there trying to rescue folks that have been stranded in these high waters. Now, I know you mentioned unfortunately, some injuries as well as fatality. Can you give us a little more details with those?
Unfortunately, because of the conditions, we are unable to retrieve bodies or to confirm cases. What we do have is all indication pointing to the fact that there has been loss of life within our city. Firefighters, they were swimming in streets like if they were rivers. We had rescues from individuals in vehicles that were stuck in water. Unfortunately, again, I'll reiterate, we have indication that some individuals were not rescued, and by accounts of firefighters, that we have had loss of life within the city. Until the waters rescind and we're able to retrieve bodies, we will not be able to confirm. But as of right now, all indicating information points to the fact that we have had a loss of life within the city. This is a tragedy. We continue to respond to every call. Our prayers go out to family members, and we continue to urge the community to stay indoors, that unless it is an emergency, they should not be out on the road. Our emergency responders are out there, and sometimes this will deplete our resources in terms of trying to respond to a vehicle that's stuck on the road. And we continue to have alarms. We have
Vaping actually saved my life, and I don't even vape, and I didn't even know about it.
As new daily COVID infections show signs of a plateau, the New York Times poses this question: has the Delta variant peaked? Cases are now topping off in states where the variant first fueled a surge. According to the Times, quote, since the pandemic began, COVID has often followed a regular, if mysterious, cycle. In one country after another, the number of new cases has often surged for roughly 2 months before starting to fall. The Delta variant, despite its intense contagiousness, has followed this pattern, end quote. With us tonight, Dr. Nahid Badilia, an infectious disease physician.